Welcome to Deep Dive with Phil and Emily. We're going to be looking at probability distributions today.
You know, it's amazing. Statisticians have noticed that certain probability distributions
Yeah.
pop up over and over again.
Really?
Like they're nature's favorites. And once you know which distribution fits a situation,
Right.
we've got a shortcut to finding the probability.
Oh, very cool.
Or P of X.
So instead of starting from scratch every time,
Exactly.
we can use these like prefab distributions
Yeah.
as shortcuts.
Exactly.
I like where this is going.
But first, we've got to learn how to recognize these common distributions.
Okay.
And figure out their defining parameter, theta.
Okay. I'm ready to decode these probability mysteries.
All right.
Let's start with something simple.
All right. Imagine you're flipping a coin,
Okay.
heads or tails. Two possible outcomes.
Classic. 50-50 chance.
Right. That's the simplest example of a Bernoulli distribution.
Oh.
It describes any event with two possible outcomes,
Okay.
typically represented as a 1 or a 0.
So it's not just coins. It could be anything with a clear yes or no outcome.
Exactly. Like, will this basketball team win their next game? Win or lose?
Got it.
1 or 0.
So how do we find theta in a Bernoulli situation?
Well, theta represents the probability of success.
Okay.
So in the coin flip, it's 0.5 for either heads or tails.
Right.
But let's say we're looking at a basketball team with a 60% win rate.
Okay.
Theta would be 0.6.
So theta is just the probability of the event happening. Got it. What happens when there are more than two possibilities?
Good question.
Like what if we're rolling a die
Yeah.
instead of flipping a coin?
For that, we'd use a categorical distribution.
Okay.
It handles situations where there are more than two possible outcomes, each with its own probability.
Like if we roll a six-sided die, there are six possible outcomes,
Yeah,
each with a probability of 1/6.
exactly. Or think about asking people their favorite meal of the day. Breakfast, lunch, dinner.
Okay.
3 choices,
Makes sense.
each with its own probability.
Okay. So how do we find theta in this case?
Right.
It can't just be one number, right?
You're right. In a categorical distribution, theta is actually a set of probabilities, one for each category.
Okay.
So you'd need to figure out the probability of each meal choice based on, say, a survey
Okay.
of people's preferences.
So it's like running multiple Bernoulli trials
Exactly.
at the same time.
Yeah.
This is getting interesting. But what about situations where all outcomes are equally likely?
Okay.
Like rolling a fair die, where each phase has a 1/6 chance of landing up.
That's a great example of a uniform distribution.
Okay.
Each outcome has the same probability of occurring.
So I'm starting to see the patterns here.
Yeah.
So theta in a uniform distribution would just be that same probability for all outcomes.
Exactly. It's 1 divided by the total number of possible outcomes.
Got it.
With a 6-sided die, theta is 1/6.
All right. I think I'm getting the hang of this.
Okay.
But what about events that aren't equally likely?
Yeah.
And we're not just dealing with a simple yes or no.
Okay.
Like how many people might be ahead of me in line at the bank?
Okay.
There's definitely a higher chance of a few people being there than, say, 50.
That's where the Poisson distribution comes in.
Okay.
It describes events that typically happen with a certain average frequency,
Yeah.
but become rarer as the value increases.
So few people in line is likely, 50 people is unlikely,
Right.
and 100 people is probably impossible.
Right. And here's the cool part. Theta in the Poisson distribution is simply the average
Oh, okay.
or expected value of the event.
So if we observe the line at the bank for a while and see that the average number of people is 5, then theta is 5.
Exactly. And once you know theta, you can calculate the probability of any specific number of people being in line,
Wow.
even the unlikely scenarios.
This is making so much sense. But what if we're interested in how long something takes?
Okay.
Like how long that line might be?
That's where the exponential distribution comes in.
Okay.
It's like the Poisson's cousin, but it deals with continuous variables like time rather than discrete variables like the number of people.
So, for example, how long it takes the web page to load,
Exactly.
or how long a postal worker spends with each customer.
Exactly. Think about those phone calls that drop unexpectedly.
Oh, yeah.
It's more likely for a call to last a few minutes than, say, 2 hours.
Right. So shorter durations are more probable, longer durations are less likely. But how do we find theta in an exponential situation?
Well, just like the Poisson distribution, the key is the average.
Okay.
But in this case, theta is the inverse of the average.
Okay.
So if the average web page load time is 2 seconds, theta would be 1 divided by 2, or 0.5.
Interesting. So it's one extra step, but still pretty straightforward.
Yep.
Okay. I'm ready for the grand finale.
All right.
What about the classic bell curve? I know that's the Gaussian
The
distribution.
Gaussian distribution.
But how does theta fit in there?
Also known as the normal distribution.
Oh.
It's the rock star of the probability world.
Right.
But its theta is a bit more complex than a single value.
Ooh, a plot twist. What's so different about theta in the Gaussian world? I'm on the edge of my seat.
Well, in the Gaussian distribution, theta is actually represented by two parameters. The mean, often symbolized as mu, and the standard deviation symbolized as sigma.
So it's like a power couple.
Yes.
Mu and sigma working together to shape that iconic bell curve.
Uh-huh.
This is all starting to click. But how do we find those two values?
To find mu, you simply calculate the average of your data.
Okay.
And for sigma, you use a formula to figure out how spread out the data is around that average. Think of it as a measure of how wide the bell curve is.
Okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
So it's a bit more involved than just finding a single average, but it's still manageable.
Yeah.
I'm feeling pretty confident about recognizing these distributions now.
That's great to hear.
Yeah.
Remember, the key is to pay attention to the patterns in the data.
Yeah. Well,
Once you've identified the distribution, it often just takes a simple calculation to find theta and unlock the power of probability.
I'm ready to put this knowledge into practice. But before we do, let's take a quick break. When we come back, we'll walk through some real-life scenarios and see if we can match them to the right distribution and find that all-important theta. Don't go anywhere.
Sounds good. All right, let's put our newfound knowledge to the test.
Okay.
Remember, the key is to recognize the underlying distribution that fits the scenario.
Okay.
Once we've got that finding, theta is usually pretty straightforward.
Okay. I'm ready to play probability detective. Hit me with your first case.
Let's say you're a software developer and you're trying to figure out the probability of a certain line of code causing an error.
Okay.
It either works or it doesn't.
I see where you're going with this. It's a binary situation, success or failure. Sounds like a Bernoulli distribution to me.
Spot on. Now let's say you've tested this code 100 times and it's failed 5 times. What's theta in this case?
Well, theta represents the probability of success, but here the success is actually the code failing.
Uh-huh.
So we divide the number of failures, 5, by the total number of trials, 100, giving us a theta of 0.05.
Exactly. You're a natural at this. Okay, ready for the next challenge?
Bring it on.
Imagine you're managing a call center and you're trying to analyze the number of calls you receive per hour.
Okay.
Some hours are busier than others, but there's a general average.
This sounds familiar. We're dealing with events that happen with a certain average frequency, but the exact number can vary. Is this a Poisson distribution?
You got it. It's all about those counts of events happening over a specific time or space. Now let's say that after observing the call volume for a week, you find that the average number of calls per hour is 20.
Okay, and remember, theta in a Poisson distribution is simply the average.
Yes.
So theta would be 20 in this case.
Right, again, see, you're mastering this. Ready for one more?
Absolutely, I'm on a roll.
Okay, this time you're in charge of quality control at a factory that produces light bulbs.
Right.
You're interested in how long each light bulb lasts before burning out.
Right, so we're dealing with time until an event occurs. This has exponential distribution written all over it.
Sharp as a tack. And let's say that based on your testing, the average light bulb lasts for 1,000 hours. How would we find theta for this scenario?
I remember this one. Theta in an exponential distribution is the inverse of the average. So we'd take 1 divided by 1,000, which gives us the theta of 0.001.
You nailed it. I'm impressed. You've successfully identified the distribution and calculated theta for each of those real-world examples.
This is so cool. I'm starting to see how these distributions can be applied in so many different fields. And once you recognize the pattern, finding theta is just a simple calculation away.
Exactly. It's all about finding the right tool for the job. But remember, these are just a few of the many common probability distributions out there.
Right.
Each one has its own unique properties and applications.
This has been an eye-opening deep dive into the world of probability distributions. I feel like I've unlocked a new level of understanding.
Me too. It's amazing how a little bit of statistical knowledge can help us make sense of so much in the world around us. It really is. And think about this without even realizing it. We encounter these distributions every day.
Yeah, you're right. From website load times to the number of people in line at the coffee shop, probability is working behind the scenes everywhere we look.
Exactly. Yeah. And once we start to recognize these patterns, we can use probability to our advantage, like predicting customer behavior, optimizing processes, even making smarter bets on sports games.
Okay, I'm officially hooked on probability. I can't wait to see what other distributions are out there and how they can be used.
Well, there's a whole world of probability distributions waiting to be explored. And each one offers a unique lens for understanding the patterns and uncertainties in our data. But even with just these few common distributions we've discussed today, you've already got a powerful toolkit for making sense of the world around you.
This deep dive has been amazing. Thanks for guiding me through the world of probability. I feel like I've gained a whole new perspective.
You're very welcome. Remember, the key is to keep asking questions, keep exploring, and keep an eye out for those patterns. The more you understand about probability, the more you'll start to see how it shapes our world.
Thanks for listening, everybody.